What's happening, everybody? Welcome to TPUSA Live. We got a fantastic live stream for you today and every single day. We're not going to lie to you. Yesterday was a lot of fun, a lot of content. I hope you tuned in. If you didn't, make sure you go back and rewatch our special with Real America's Voice. It was a lot of fun, but I'm Jon Root. Alex Clark, how are you?
I'm great. I'm excited for Human Events Daily today.
I'm always excited for Human Events Daily because Jack, I feel like, is just so much great news every day. I'm refreshing my Twitter just to see what he's gonna say.
Well, some of the stuff that he's talking about today, I don't know about, so I have to watch to see what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah, so he's talking about some more Kyle Rittenhouse. So he's saying that the prosecutors are claiming there was a technological glitch while transferring evidence. That was a big thing in yesterday's trial. In the beginning there, it was just a whole debacle between the defense and the prosecution. He'll break that down. There's also a lawsuit that claims the Rust script, Alec Baldwin news, that he was not supposed to be shooting the gun at all.
That is huge, huge. I did not know that, so that is going to be a huge bombshell. Very excited about the details there.
And then Joy Reid, she's got some more crazy things to say. Her and Elizabeth Warren claim the gas prices are up due to a secret plot.
What does that mean? This is what I really want to watch this episode from him, because what the heck is he talking about? They think there's a secret plot.
They just can't take the blame. They can't
So they think it's conservatives that are making the gas prices higher somehow to blame the president, or what?
Oh yeah, like they want to hurt all the Americans right now. Just it's out of control. Just take some responsibility. That's all they need to do. But right after that, we'll be sitting on the couch. Got some incredible people, like Alex Clark's going to be on the couch. We got TPUSA Ambassador Christine Yeargin's going to be here.
I love Christine.
She is amazing. I can't wait to chat with her. I've never met her before.
What?
So.
Oh, I love her. This is going to be a great show.
And then we got Colton Duncan that's going to be here, political consultant, TPUSA ambassador. And also we got an airline pilot that was just on Charlie Kirk's show this morning, and his name is Dave Morgan. We're also going to have a flight attendant on as well to give us a breakdown.
Ooh. You know what? I would really like to know their take on everything. Do they think this stuff is just as crazy as we do? Because every time I've been on a flight in the last year, the flight attendants are so rude. Put your mask up in between bites, like crazy. So I would like to know what they think.
Yeah, it's going to be great because I chatted with them a little bit yesterday, and then the fact we get to stay on this couch and give them plenty of time to share their own stories, it's going to be great. We're going to talk about that. We got a Professor Watchlist and Law or Nah.
Oh boy, your favorite bit.
I love me some Law or Nah. And then after that, we got Benny on the block, Benny Johnson. He's got another episode at the NASCAR race. It was the NASCAR Cup Series Finale at Phoenix Raceway. He's got some more. Matt DiBenedetto.
Oh, awesome. We love Matt.
Do you like NASCAR?
No.
Do you like fast cars?
Yeah, I like fast cars and freedom and hot guys. Well, I'm an American, baby.
Well, I won't say there's a lot of really hot guys in this episode of Betty on the Block.
Okay.
But there's definitely some fast cars that I think you'd be into.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, Betty makes everything funny, so I'm sure it's good.
It's going to be great. And then right after that, you get some more Alex Clark. New episode of Politics. What are you going over today?
Oh, my gosh. I do not know if you saw this the other night on Laura Ingram's show on Fox. She had an epic pop culture fail. It's very Abbott and Costello, who's on first, basically, but it has to do with the show You on Netflix. It was hilarious. I was like crying, laughing, watching that, so we're going to talk about that. Also, the Chuck E. Cheese pizza conspiracy, which has been out for a little bit, but Shia LaBeouf took a girl on a date to Chuck E. Cheese, so it got brought up again, and I'm going to explain what the conspiracy theory is and if you believe in it or not.
So speaking of that, would you go on a first date to Chuck E. Cheese?
I would, but I asked all of my all the other girls that work on Politics with me if they would, and they all said no.
Isn't that a red flag?
It is totally a red flag. I think it's fun. I like fun, creative, different dates like that. Like, I think it would be fun to dress up formal and go to McDonald's for dinner. Like, something like that is fun.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like, what's another red flag?
Red flag. I mean, I would say if a guy's a bad tipper, if he's rude to like a waitress or parking attendant, you know, that's another one to look out for.
Any other ones? Any other red flags that we had these dude servers out there that want to know, what do I do?
Well, don't be a liberal, I would say, would be a good one.
Don't be a lib, don't be a leftist. That's it.
Don't talk bad about your ex on the first date.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another major red flag. But we got a fantastic live stream for you today. You're going to hear all about that Chuck E. Cheese conspiracy. I'm tuning in for sure. It's going to be great. But we got Jack Posobiec, Human Events Daily, brought to you by First Liberty. We're going to see you guys in just a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily, powered by Turning Point USA. Today's top stories. Number one, the Rittenhouse prosecutors claim a technological glitch in their evidence transfer. Yeah, okay. Next up, Alec Baldwin's film Rust. The script never called for the gun to be fired, according to a new lawsuit. We're going to get into that. Next, the CDC estimates that more than 100,000 Americans died due to drug overdoses in a one-year period during the pandemic for the first time. And finally, Joy Reid and Liz Warren claim that gas prices are up due to secret plots that are going on behind the scenes. All this and more ahead, Human Events Daily. Everything that's going on in this case is a complete, this isn't justice, but embrace it, ladies and gentlemen. This is our new system. Videos where we can't find the source, a justice system that brings charges even when we already have video evidence that fully exonerates the defendant. This is our system. So listen now to DA Lunchbox as he almost literally, loses his lunch trying to explain why the defense team didn't get the original quality of the video.
The email from my personal Gmail account is the file that went to the state crime lab. I was told to bring it to the state crime lab. I was already home on Saturday. I did not have access to anything but my computer. I had Detective Howard email it to me, and I put it on a thumb drive at home, and I took it to the crime lab. I don't know if Mr. Binger somehow retitled it, but the image I gave the crime lab is on my phone as the title that she indicated. Too heavily on, I guess, a technological glitch, and less on and we should be focusing that this exhibit was played. The jury is asking to see exhibits that they have seen.
So, Your Honor, we were talking during the break, and the reality of it is one of the main portions of the video, the thing that you watched, however many times you watched it, right, on a video that we had the video, not the clarity and not the quality. I think that's been conceded that we didn't have that. We were talking about, we would have done this case in a little bit different manner if that was the situation, where we didn't have specific, and I want to say we didn't have the evidence because I don't think that's a fair way to say it, but we didn't have the quality of evidence that the state had until the case had been closed. On Friday, the parties had rested, and we were going to open our closings on Monday. We've talked to Mr. Rittenhouse, and I'm going to be asking the court for a mistrial based upon the fact that if we're really trying to get to the heart of it, we've watched the video, I can tell you what we think, but it doesn't matter what we think because we don't get to present that to the jury anymore. And I think if we're going to try to do this in a way that is free from anybody hiding anything, anybody not having the same evidence as everybody else has, where it is clearly a level, fair playing field, we have to ask for this, and I'm asking for it.
This is absurd. This is completely insane. This video, which has no chain of custody whatsoever, people are trying to go through this black hole of trying to find where it came from. They can't explain it. The defense wasn't given the actual video. And I don't care about Lunchbox's explanations for this. It's excuse after excuse after excuse. It was Binger's fault. It was the technology's fault. It was the phone's fault. It was anything other. Man up and take responsibility for what happened. Yeah, you may not have intended it, but it happened on your watch. You're the state. The burden of proof, the burden of the evidence is on you. You have to bring forward the evidence, and if you don't turn it over to the defense, then you are in violation. It doesn't matter. He wouldn't be there at all. They would have looked at it and they would have made it go away. They would have said, just have him pay a fine for the gun thing and send him on his way. Let the family take care of it. But that's not how our country works anymore. The elites take care of their own, and they punish. The mask-wearing Karens want to punish any deplorable peasant who might take up arms to defend themselves. No, no, no. No, 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 we can't have that. Only the elites are able to have power. Only the elites are able to maintain their monopoly on power. And so you're seeing that through the media and through the workings of this prosecutor's office, the corrupt prosecutor here. You're seeing all of that. And that's what Binger is saying with the whole state lines mantra. He's not one of us. He's not one of you. He's not someone who's supposed to have power. So put him away, because this peasant, this nobody, this nothing, he thinks that he's got rights. He thinks that he's got self-worth. He's nothing. He's a nobody. That's Binger. Reject Bingerism in all of its forms. Every American citizen has rights. Period, full stop, end of story. Alec Baldwin. You thought we were done with him. Well, Human Events Daily is not done with Alec Baldwin. We told you that we were going to stick to the story, and we are. And now it ain't just us that's talking about Alec Baldwin. It's Gloria Allred. So if you don't know, and I think most people do, but in case you don't, Gloria Allred is an extremely powerful left-wing liberal attorney. She is someone that has put away and taken down a lot of big-name figures throughout the course of her career. Now she's got her sights targeted on Alec Baldwin. This is huge. This is someone for, if you're on their side, if you're on the left, you listen to Gloria Allred. It is not hard. For her, they're not going to say, "Oh, that's just Human Events. That's just POSO. That's just, I don't have to worry about that." No. They're not allowed to ignore Gloria Allred. That ain't how the game is played. That's not how the new rules work. So listen to what Gloria Allred had to say on behalf of her client, delivering an extremely scathing press conference about Alec Baldwin.
In our opinion, Mr. Baldwin chose to play Russian roulette when he fired a gun without checking it and without having the armorer do so in his presence. His behavior and that of the producers on Rust was reckless. The fact that live ammunition was allowed on a movie set, that guns and ammunition were left unattended on a cart and allowed to be handled by those who had no business handling them, the fact that safety bulletins were not promulgated or ignored makes this a case where injury or death was much more than just a possibility. It was a likely result.
And in addition to all that, Russian roulette. A report out of Reuters. A crew member working on the Western movie Rust said in a lawsuit on Wednesday that the script never called for a gun to be fired during a scene that Alec Baldwin was rehearsing when he killed a cinematographer last month. Script supervisor Mamie Mitchell alleges Baldwin should have checked the gun himself for live ammunition rather than relying on the assistant director's assertion that the Colt 45 revolver was safe to use. And this, of course, Gloria Allred's statement. He chose to play Russian roulette when he fired a gun without checking it and without having the armorer do so in his presence. Mitchell, by the way, was in the line of fire, alleging assault, intentional infliction, and deliberate infliction of harm, and is speaking unspecified damages in a lawsuit filed in LA Superior Court. She said, this wasn't it, right? So take it back a second, take it back, right? I'm not even gonna go into the rest of it right now. Understand the difference between Alec Baldwin and Kyle Rittenhouse. They want you to act as if it's like similar, some kind of similar situation. Oh, he fired a gun, he fired a gun. No, context matters. One is a person, a 17-year-old kid at the time, who was trying to do the right thing for his town, that was then chased down by an angry, murderous mob who would have killed him. And make no mistake, Kyle Rittenhouse's actions saved his own life that night. Period, full stop, end of story. So all of this talk about reckless endangerment and he shouldn't have had the gun in the first place, even though the gun charge was taken off, nothing to do with it. Alec Baldwin, on the other hand, he's an actor on a movie set. And there's no special rules for an actor on a movie set. Oh, I was an actor. The armorer told me. No, absolutely not. It doesn't even matter under, and we talked about this before on the podcast, Human Events Daily covered this, that under New Mexico law, it does not matter. Actually, it doesn't matter who loaded the gun. What matters is who pulled the trigger. And who pulled the trigger was Alec Baldwin. And he did so with reckless disregard for human life. He did so with reckless disregard for the power of that dangerous instrument that he was wielding. He didn't care about the people he was pointing it at. He didn't care about the people who was standing behind. And that's the person, this Mamie Mitchell that we're hearing from today. She was standing behind the victim in this case. Because all of those people in the line of fire had that bullet, and we know, of course, obviously it did go through and hit someone, it hit the director, but it could have hit somebody else. That's why when I came in and talked about this day after day, right after this story broke, and the whole mainstream media and all these people were saying, oh, he didn't mean to, it was an accident, it's a terrible situation. No. He's the one who was holding the gun. He's the one who chose to play Russian roulette and take the word of someone that he didn't even see check the gun in his presence. That is not just negligence, that is recklessness, and it shows a disregard for human life. I've been using guns since I was 12 years old. My entire adult life, I was in the military. I've received hours and hours and hours of gun training, tens of thousands of rounds on the range. You learn the basic safety rules. You go over them. You state them once every day. It's 4. They're not that hard to remember. But you have to do that every single time you're handling guns. Always assume your gun is loaded. It's as simple as that. And Alec Baldwin is unfortunately going to have to pay the price. So thank you for continuing to support us, supporting the show. Get, by the way, your Christmas order in. Go to mypillow.com. You got the towels, you got the dream sheets, you got the pillows, and of course, you've got the pillows for your kids. You've got the Bible stories. That's the one that we use. We've actually got him, don't tell him yet, but we got him a Noah's Ark one. I know. He's got the nativity story now. So every night before he goes to sleep, he says, good night, Joseph. Good night, Mary. Good night, baby Jesus. Good night, sheep. And that's what he says every night before he goes to bed, because he sleeps on the Bible pillow. But we got him a Noah's Ark one for Christmas. It's on its way. It hasn't arrived yet, but I'm so excited to be able to give it to him. So go to mypillow.com, use promo code POSO. These are the ways that we pass on our traditions, and it's just a great way for you to sleep on yourself. We do it. We sleep on my pillows every night. We just do. My wife and I. Next story. More than 100,000 Americans died due to drug overdoses in a 1-year period for the first time in recorded American history, according to the CDC. From Epoch Times, more than 100,000 Americans have died of drug overdoses in the 12-month period ending in April, marking the highest number ever, a 28.5% increase over the previous year, with the total number of overdose deaths doubling over the 5-year recorded period. What is the number one drug in all of this? It's fentanyl. Fentanyl coming from the CCP. Listen to this report on CBS.
Tonight, a grim statistic. 1 American is dying from a drug overdose every 5 minutes, according to the Office of National Drug Control Policy. The CDC estimates more than 100,000 Americans died from drug overdoses over a 12-month period ending this April, a record. That's nearly 3 times the number of deaths from traffic accidents last year, and more than twice the number of gun deaths. Darian and Tawana House of Pensacola lost their 18-year-old son, Rajan, to an apparent drug overdose in July.
It's hard to even put in words the difficulty of me going on without my son.
They blame the availability of the opioid fentanyl, which is sometimes slipped into other drugs to increase potency.
Like what happened with our son, he didn't necessarily know what he was taking in. He thought it was just normally what he does on the regular as a teenager.
But it's not just affecting those who choose to use. Last month, an Alabama woman was arrested and charged after her 1-year-old daughter allegedly overdosed on her supply of fentanyl. The baby was revived by paramedics.
There you go.
The pandemic has been, in many ways, a perfect storm.
Dr. Michael Barnett teaches health policy at Harvard University.
We have a lot of work to do to expand access to life-saving treatments like naloxone or buprenorphine, which can really save lives in addiction, but are not widely available for people that need them.
So there's a couple of things that we need to do here. Number one, shut down the open air drug markets. Kensington in Philadelphia, parts of Washington, D.C., Denver, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. Every major city has them, and you all know where they are. Shut them all down. And the people that are in there, that are trapped in addiction, chemical drug addiction, you got to get them in rehab. And I don't care what party you're in. I don't care what side of the political spectrum. Just cut the BS. These people need help. Get them off the streets. Set up rehab centers. Set up mental health rehab centers. We need to go back to taking care of people who need help. That is really what needs, and I get it. I get that progressives have this like, oh, but it's their choice. Stop. Just stop. The people need help and they're not getting it. They're lying on the street. They're dying on the street. Because you care about them? No. Give them the help they need. We need to refund and reopen public rehab centers and public mental health rehab centers in this country. And when it comes to fentanyl, number one, close the border with the South, close that entire border, shut it down the same way Poland is doing when it comes to fentanyl. Not a single drop should be getting across that border. And number two, you go back, you sanction China, you find the people that are behind all of this, and you send in SEAL Team 6 and you take care of business. And if they don't want to comply, well, that's what SEAL Team 6 is for. You need to start taking this all seriously. What's my favorite show on cable news? I'm sorry, Tucker. It's got to go to Joy Reid. I love it. I just do. I love Joy Reid because she says the darndest things. Listen to this last segment that I caught yesterday on Joy Reid's show where she's going on and she's got Senator Warren of all people, everyone's favorite Native American senator, Elizabeth Warren, talking about why the gas prices are up. Now, you might be sitting there saying, well, gas prices are up because Joe Biden shut down, when he became president, he shut down the pipelines, he restricted our supply, he shut down exploration, so that hurt the futures market, shut down drilling. You might think, if you're looking at it from a basic economic standpoint, that that's what it is. You know, I was just in Alaska earlier this summer of this year, and we went up to Prudhoe Bay, and those guys up there, they're all sitting around, and they want to go out and work and be drilling, but they can't because they can't get contracts because Biden is shutting it all down. So you think that that might have something to do with why gas prices are going up right now. But no. According to Joy Reid and Elizabeth Warren, it's secret plots behind the scenes. Take a listen.
Here's another thing, because a lot of people are really upset about gas prices, but people weren't driving for a year and somehow gas prices still went up. There have been some calls to investigate these oil companies because also they don't really like Build Back Better either because it deals with their issues on the environment. But how is it that when people stayed home for a year, suddenly the price of gas went up? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So come on, Joy. We know exactly who the oil companies, what the oil companies pay attention to, what is their number one priority, profits. And so think about it this way. If this were just ordinary inflation, we might see prices go up. But prices at the pump have gone up. Why? Well, let me give you a hint. Chevron, Exxon have doubled their profits. This isn't about inflation. This is about price gouging for these guys. So I get it. When we see prices go up, we're all concerned, and the Republicans want to come in and just try to hammer on one theme about this economy. But we got to pay attention to the fact that folks like the oil companies say, I think it's just another opportunity to make profits, and we need to call them out on that.
This is hilarious. I'm sorry. This is like the kind of statement you make when you don't understand what economics is, and you just, oh, it must be some secret plot, and they're trying to do this, and they're trying to do that. No, look, I get it, right? I get it. Obviously, oil companies, the same as every other company, right, that's out there, want to make money. Yeah, duh. That's why they're in business. But when you restrict your own supply, when you go after fracking, the way this president has, when you shut down Alaska the way this president has, when you refuse to even look at any other energy resources or any ways for America to be the Permian Basin or the Marcellus Shale, et cetera, in this country, then yes, obviously it's basic supply and demand. Demand is going up and supply has been artificially restricted. Like you don't need a PhD in all this to figure out what's going on, right? It's very simple. It's very simple, actually. And so there are lots of ways that we could be powering our country. I'm a big proponent of nuclear. I think the Gen 4 nuclear is the way of the future. I think that's what we absolutely need right now. But you've got Biden, of course, going over to Xi Jinping and asking him to release his strategic reserves. Of course, Taiwan is probably going to be given up in that deal, like we talked about yesterday. And you've got these people on MSNBC literally just spreading conspiracy theories rather than actually look into the mechanics of it. Folks, our country is once again run by stupid idiots. Sirs and ladies of the land, this is all the time we have on Human Events Daily. I'm so sorry to see you go. I've enjoyed this time that we spend together every day. But of course, my motto to you, my promise, my solemn oath to you, be good, be brief, be gone. And if I broke my word, if I broke my oath, well then, I'd be a communist. So the moral of today's story, the same as the moral of every story, folks, don't trust communists. Thank you for your support. Be the influence agent. Go and share this out. Share it with your normie friends. It's only 25 minutes a day. It's super short. We did 22 minutes a day yesterday because we were able to pack it in that fast. Today's moment of history before we go. The Jonestown mass suicide took place today. Today is that solemn anniversary. So remember, folks, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore. All right, that's it for me and the team here at Human Events Daily in Washington, D.C. I just want to say thank you again, by the way, to the entire Turning Point team here at Human Events Daily. You guys don't see what this team, all the hours they do behind the scenes, all the work they do to get these shows out. So a huge shout out to my crew, for the people who are supporting me, and by the way, to the crew back home in Phoenix at the mothership that are supporting everything that goes on there. We could not do this without you. So that's it for me. Turning Point Live continues with The Couch. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Jack. Well, hello there and welcome to TPUSA Live at HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm your host, Jon Root. Let's check out the rundown. First, we have some news about an epic troll from Governor Ron DeSantis and more in the daily briefing. Next, we'll sit down with a few airline employees who will tell you all about their experience dealing with vaccine mandates. Then I'll try to stump our guests and you at home in one of our favorite games, Law or Nah. And finally, we'll introduce you to the newest members of our Professor Watchlist, followed by details of a university offering a white privilege class, and one last thing. Let's get this party started. TPUSA Live from HQ starts now.
Authentic, unfiltered, grassroots content and conversation every weekday. Live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Turning Point USA headquarters, this is TPUSA Live.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Man, we got a great show for you today, and we got some amazing people here. We got TPUSA Ambassador, pro-life activist, Christine Yeargin. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Let's go. Alex Clark, you got a little bit more of her today. You saw her in the show open, hosted Politics, hosted The Spillover.
That's
Welcome.
right. Thank you.
Political consultant and TPUSA Ambassador, Colton Duncan. Or do you go by Colt On? No,
Oh, yeah.
I've been
Now
following your
it's-
Twitter, Luke.
Well, yeah, Twitter's calling me a cult, so I changed the headline to Colt On. But thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great having you
Little
guys
trolling.
here. Let's dive into the daily briefing. So, Governor Ron DeSantis, he just seems to just win and win and win some more. And the troll that he had for President Biden was amazing today. He signed an anti-COVID bill in Brandon, Florida today. It was amazing. The bill prevents Florida employers from requiring employees to receive a COVID-19 vaccination. And those exempt would include, but are not limited to, people who are pregnant, planning to get pregnant, persons expressing health or religious concerns, and those who have already had or recovered from COVID-19. Also, we covered on this show a second grader that missed almost 40 days of school because she refused to wear a mask, and they were telling her she might have to retake second grade. He had her at the signing of that bill today. It was amazing.
Legendary. She should come on the show.
I would love to.
She would be awesome. I'm just glad that somebody's finally addressing natural immunity. Like, I've already had COVID. Why are we not talking about that? I'm so glad that Governor Ron DeSantis is actually talking about it, because we need to be talking about it.
Yeah, and then in these circumstances, like, I know we're going to talk to a few airline employees later on in the show about, you should be able to decide. Like, stop having these employers have so much power and telling you what to do with your body. You should have bodily autonomy.
Yep, agree.
Ron
And
DeSantis.
So props to Ron DeSantis. That's great, and he's awesome. We all know that. We need more of these governors to take their cues and do the right thing. We can give props to Ron DeSantis all day, and I'm happy to do that. But where are the rest of these governors? In fact, our new hero governor, Glenn Youngkin, actually is going to allow cities to impose vaccine mandates.
I saw that.
We were all worshiping him after his win, and I knew he would let us down, and he did.
Yep.
I called it. And so Ron DeSantis, awesome, and these other governors need to take cues from him.
Exactly, but also too, you know, the military, they're pushing vaccinations too. So there was news that came out of the Navy. They have updates to their guidance for the COVID-19 vaccination, and 95% of active duty force in the Navy have been vaccinated. Over 99% have had at least one shot, and their deadline for full vaccination is November 28th at the end of this month. But Vice Admiral John B. Noel Jr., the Chief of Naval Personnel, wrote this in a message. In order to ensure a fully vaccinated force, it is U.S. Navy policy to separate all Navy service, get this, segregation here, separate all Navy service members who refuse the lawful order to receive the COVID-19 vaccination. The least favorable characterization of service for Navy service members refusing the vaccine without extenuating circumstances will be general under honorable conditions. So they're separating between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated in the Navy. What's your thoughts on this, Cole?
Well, and what this is going to do too, it's going to cost people their GI bills, and it's going to cost their kids their GI bills too, if you want to pass that on to your children. And it's sick, because here's the thing. We've got an administration that's considering giving almost $500,000 to illegal aliens, but people that have actually earned a GI bill may not receive it if they don't do President Biden's bidding. And that is that's the double standards that's very sick to me.
And then also, too, we're hearing about sailors. If they're denied their religious exemption, I know we're going to dive into that with our airline employees, too. If they're denied that exemption, sailors must start vaccinations within 5 days of receiving that disapproval. So it's like, you don't get that, boom, right away, you got to make a decision. And we've seen that, we've covered that on our show, too, how someone was less than a week away from retiring from the military, and they were forced to get a vaccine. It's all about forceful.
It's ridiculous. I mean, our service members put their lives on the line. Their families sacrifice so much, and what we're doing to them is absolutely atrocious. I'm embarrassed, and I feel so awful for them, because nobody should have to be forced to make a decision that they don't want to, especially after they've given everything to us to fight for our freedoms.
Yeah. And it's not just about them, too. It's just like you said, the GI Bill and these other benefits, too. It doesn't just affect them. It affects their spouse and their family and generations to come.
Yeah, it's so disrespectful. It's really disgusting. And you know, I wonder if most of these people that are making these decisions, saying you have to get this and do this, you know, are they willing to put themselves in the same position? You know, some of these people that are forcing, I don't know. That's what's crazy to me.
Why can't we just have Governor Ron DeSantis just run everything? Can we do that? Like, I know we only got 24 hours in a day.
I say the same thing that you say. I don't understand why Republican governors everywhere aren't just copying everything that he's doing. I mean, look at all of the support he has behind him. People are rallying around him. Yeah.
And then we're going to talk to some airline employees coming up in 90 seconds. See you soon.
Critical race theory is the most racist thing that is being spread in popular life in America.
Critical race theory is bigoted. It is a lie.
Racism is now being taught to our kids.
Dividing kids based on race, trying to say some are oppressors and some are oppressed is absolutely unacceptable.
CRT is racist. It is abusive. It discriminates against one's color.
It's not critical race. It's racism.
Conservatives! Politics is now on TPUSA Live. It'll be here every day in case you want to hear me out along with the rest of the Turning Point USA team. Don't miss out on all the conservative.
You have to ask the question, how is the most heavily funded tribe have the poorest population?
Listen to me. My country is very because everything problem here. Don't have petroleum for bus and Cuban, for car, for life, for nothing.
And it sucks. Socialism sucks. There's no other way you can describe it.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live at TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. Fired for her faith, a recent guest on First Liberty Live worked as a flight attendant until her woke airline decided to kick her out. First Liberty Live is a weekly webcast all about religious freedom. Watch online at firstlibertylive.com. That's firstlibertylive.com. And along those lines, too, we have a couple of airline employees here. We have Dave Morgan, airline pilot, been flying for over 23 years. And we got Debbie Gillespie here, flight attendant, been in the industry for over 35 years yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about your time in those 23 years as a pilot? And then seeing now that you're being forced to get a vaccine against your will.
John, I love flying. It's been my whole life. My dad was an airline pilot. My mom was a flight attendant. My wife was a flight attendant. That's how we met. I fell in love with her the day I met her. I got hired by Continental Airlines, became United. It's my love. It's my career. It's my passion. And I'm excited about it until this mandate came along. And I filed a religious exemption to the mandate. And United generously offered me an accommodation, which went into effect last week, of unpaid leave with no benefits, no retirement access, no travel, no nothing. Really just unplugged me, cut my cord. And it's hard to believe this is reality in America.
Especially after almost a quarter century of being with United. You've been there over 23 years, and this is how you get treated.
They tossed me out like a bag of trash. That's the way I feel. And we're fighting this because this is America, John. We should never have to stand up and fight like this for our own jobs under the provisions of our Constitution. I mean, our Constitution provides for freedom of religious or medical choice. And I'm being hammered for that. And I'm representing 2,000 United employees, and there's over 4,000 employees that are jumping on board with us, from Amtrak to other airlines to people across this nation. And I feel the weight right now and the burden of all these other people that I'm having the opportunity to speak for right now. I feel that weight on me right now because we have pulled together to fight this in federal court.
And then Debbie, speaking on this too, it's like, this is not just about you two sitting on the couch here.
Absolutely
this is about
not.
your coworkers. This is about people in other industries. And they hear stories like yours and they just feel more empowered. Because like, how do I fight back? Because there's way too many people that feel like United's way too big. How do we fight back against this? And then you as a flight attendant, it's just a different aspect of the airline industry that flight attendants need help too. It's not just pilots. I feel like so often like the focus gets on pilots here, but there's so many different aspects of flying a plane and getting passengers to where they want to go. What's that those conversations been like, everybody else in the flight attendant realm?
We couldn't do it without the pilots. I truly believe, had we not had the pilots by our side, this would have been done and over with, because the company offers a lot more leeway with their pilots because they are a valuable asset. The flight attendants are as well, but it takes a lot of dollars to train a pilot to do what he does. So we are so grateful that you have stood up for us as well. And across the board, all of the different workforces, our mechanics, our baggage handlers, all of us, the gate agents, we're so grateful that the pilots took the charge and ran this for us.
Well, it takes a team to get you where you want to go. So anytime
truly
I'm
do.
jumping on the plane too, it's like you're working together.
Absolutely.
And that's why I
Absolutely.
feel like it's so impactful here having both of you. But can you speak on a little bit more airline employees for health and freedom? Exactly what you're doing now to fight back, to make sure that, because you want to get to flying again. This is not just, hey, hopefully I can help a few other people. You want to get back to work.
I want to get back to work. I have 9 more years next month. 9 more years to go. I have 3 boys, 12, 16, and 18. This is the last thing I expected, John, in the middle of my career. So what did we do? When we found out there was a mandate, we jumped in, and there was, the first day, there was over 125 pilots that joined together under Laura Cox, Sherry Walker, organizing airline employees for health freedom. Incorporated as a 501c4 out of the state of Texas. And within days, we had hundreds and hundreds of employees jumping in. This is not just pilots, John.
Yeah.
This is flight attendants. This is dispatchers. This is all the people that make the airline tick. Every aspect of the airline was, what do we do? And we have to get organized, and we have to stand up and fight this, because we're going to stand up and say no. We're going to exercise our right as Americans to say no. We are not going to comply with something that this is wrong. And it goes against my deeply held religious beliefs, and I will not compromise on that, because I love the Lord my God above anything and above anyone on this earth. So AE4HF is the foundational part of our fight. We brought in legal counsel from DC. We brought in more legal counsel from Texas. And we have some brilliant minds working very hard around the clock, and they're very expensive. The catch is, we are unemployed people now paying these very expensive attorneys out of pocket.
Yeah.
So we're driving fundraisers. We are asking people to give and donate. This is not for our free lunches and, like a lot of organizations use most of the funds for themselves and give a little bit less. That's not us. 100% of everything that's donated goes to our legal fees. And we are fighting United Airlines in federal court, and we are going to win this.
Yep.
We will win this.
And that's why we want to partner with you. We want to share these stories here. That's why we want to share these stories.
You are on the winning team, John.
Let's go.
And that's our side of this fight.
I want to be a part of the winning team.
And we're grateful that you gave us this platform to talk too. Yes, absolutely.
But August 6th is when Scott Kirby, the CEO of United, came out and said that you needed to get vaccinated.
Correct.
What were the thoughts that were going through your mind and the conversations you were having with other coworkers? Did you feel like there was hope, or do you feel like this might be the only thing we have to do?
Maybe it's because of my faith, but I never for 1 second considered getting this vaccine. There were some people that had to consider their families. They're putting food on the table, and they had to push their beliefs aside. For me, in my core, I knew that God was talking to me, and this was not the direction we were going to go.
Yeah.
And so no matter how this ends up, I'm going to be okay. You're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. He's directing our path. We'll be okay.
Amen.
Well, speaking on the faith aspect here, so there's been up to about 4,000 employees that have filed for religious and or medical exemptions under Title VII in the FDA.
Yeah.
But when you have the CEO, your employer,
my boss,
basically just mocking Christians, saying, hey, you have to prove to me what your faith is. You have to tell me how, I don't need to prove my faith to my boss. And that's where it's like I feel like it's a leftist mentality. They're like, hey, tell me that you're moral, and I'll tell you what the truth is. I'll tell you what morality is. And I think, frankly, it's disgusting. So what was your response to that? Basically saying, hey, as a Christian, I don't have to prove my faith to you. Can we just respect that?
You just took the words out of my mouth. They asked me for second opinions and third opinions. They asked me for proof. And who is to dispute anybody's deeply held religious belief? Certainly not my boss, Scott Kirby. Not anybody else. This is between me and my God, my Creator, my Lord, my Savior.
Yeah.
And I follow the Lord Jesus, and I will till the end of my life, and I will not compromise on this, not for anyone or anything on this earth.
And
so the thought never crossed my mind to compromise on this. I'm sorry.
And I respect that. I respect that so much too. Like right away, you're saying no. This
Right.
is no. I'm not going to compromise my faith. But there's a lot of people that are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I think that's probably exactly why you're doing this. Is there's a lot of people out there that feel, what do I do? I got kids too. I got so many more years that I need to commit to United or some other airline so I can set my family up to succeed. So in that aspect then, knowing that it's not just about right now, this is about your family. This is about the next generation. Just like we were covering to kick off the show, what Governor Ron DeSantis is doing. He's knowing that this is more than just about right now. This is about future generations.
Correct. And many of those people went ahead and took it the first round, thinking, okay, I'm just going to do this and it'll be done. And now we're finding out that side letters were signed with the union and the company that in the future we will be responsible for any vaccines or doses recommended by the CDC and any foreign health agency.
And then knowing too that like you can be put on unpaid leave for, like it's saying what
Indefinite.
Indefinite, maybe even up to 6 years or even indefinite.
Correct.
And then you can lose your seniority after about 90 days.
Right, because we're not considered separated from the company.
Okay.
And because we're not separated, we cannot file for unemployment, we cannot collect our retirement, and our benefits, our medicals, that's all on hold. We start losing seniority at 90 days.
And something we cover on this show so much too is like, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. They tell you like, no, it's just one shot, and then now you need a couple shots to be fully vaccinated.
Booster's coming.
And then there's a booster, and then
They're
how
going to
many
wait till
boosters
after
are going to be?
after Christmas though to bring in the booster because they don't want a destruction of our holiday travel. Think about it.
And even scarier, what I do believe, I don't know how many people follow this with me, but we're stepping in the way because what's going to happen is now he's going to have his 100% vaccinated airline crew, but people are still going to come down with the virus. And then he's going to start looking at the passengers and say, okay, the passengers need to be vaccinated to fly on our airline as well. So at some point, we need to rise up and stand tall and say, no, this is enough.
Yeah, it gets to a point where it's like, well, where does it end?
Right.
You know, just what we were talking about. There's
Where
a
does it
booster,
end,
then there's a
John?
next booster, and then they're going to tell you there's something else that I know you were talking about this before we jumped on the show. What about some other virus that comes down? They're going to tell you you need to get vaccinated for that. We're going to tell you what to do with your body, and I think that's why people are really forgetting this is about your constitutional rights. This is your right to choose to do what you want with your body when it comes to vaccinations. Because there's going to be something else that comes out, and then they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do, how you need to think if you want to be employed at this airline. And it does not matter. You've been here for 23 years, over 35 years. We don't care. You just need to comply. So what have been some of the responses you've gotten from people that have decided to jump on board, even from other airlines? Or even just, have there been some passengers that you've connected with over the years that said, hey.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's so much support. And when we went out and about handing out the flyers for our fundraiser, people were sharing their stories. Everyone has got a story. It's almost like 9/11. Everyone has a story to share. And so it's been really beautiful to hear all the people that are rallying behind us. Obviously, there are some that don't quite understand, but more are starting to understand. And we're only one generation from losing our freedom, which is where Turning Points is incredible because you're bringing up our youth. And I love and respect everything that you all are doing for us.
And then what's the next move here? Because there's a lot of people that are up against some sort of deadline, whether it's like the military we just covered or there's other airlines. Where do people need to go? Do you guys have events coming up? What kind of money are you trying to raise, and what's the next step in order to make sure that this stops and people get to decide for themselves?
John, we're grassroots employees fighting for our jobs, and we're holding a fundraiser I started with reserving 7 picnic tables at the Buffalo Chip in Cave Creek on November 20th. And we are having big speakers sign on. It's an amazing list of speakers. We outgrew the 7 tables. We're in the pavilion. We have DJ, country music. The venue is going to provide a nice barbecue buffet. And we're directing everyone to ae4hf.org. That's AE, the letter, number 4, not letter, but number 4, ae4hf.org. Go and contribute. 100% goes to our legal fight. Nothing goes in our pocket. And that's this Saturday, November 20th. If you're not here, just go online and donate.
And as we wrap up too, we want to show a video too of you put together. Debbie's featured in that, an absolute star. We're going to show
She's
you
our
that.
movie star.
We are being put on indefinite unpaid leave, losing medical benefits, losing travel benefits, and are unable to retire while on leave in lieu of taking the vaccine. We are not anti-vaccine. We just want our religious and medical freedom rights upheld. Our employer has done everything possible to prevent us from exercising our Title VII rights to protect our faith and our medical autonomy under the American Disabilities Act. People have been told they would be terminated, never work again, and lose their benefits. The stress, pressure, coercion, and harassment has been unbearable for many. Our employer is effectively terminating everyone who is resisting. Thank you.
Spells it out there.
I
That's
appreciate
just
it.
constitutional rights right there. Listen to Debbie, listen to Dave. We need more people like you. And I'm sure there's so many people out here that are hearing your story and they're so proud to see someone actually put their face in front of a camera, put together a video, put together these events because people need help. And I hope stories like this really make a difference because we got your back. That's exactly why we got you on this couch.
Thank you, John.
Right here. And it's so impactful to see you live out your faith. There's too many people
Amen.
out there that are just, it's a scary time. It's a very uncomfortable time. And I could not imagine working in the industry for as long as you guys have and feeling like,
I think
wow.
you just called us old.
Let's win this
Yeah.
and get back to work. Let's get America back to work.
Yeah.
Let's win this
Absolutely.
fight for our kids and our grandkids.
Amen. So once again, so you need to go to ae4hf.org, donate, and also once again, there's a local Arizona event coming up this Saturday at Buffalo Chip, November 20th. Make sure you see these two, donate, and do whatever you can to help out. Once again, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you, John.
story, and best of luck.
Thank you, John.
We'll see you guys in 90 seconds.
What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property.
My name is Sammy Steigman. I am a Holocaust survivor.
This is the reality of what happens when you have capitalism that goes to socialism.
El socialismo no funciona.
El socialismo no funciona.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got the gang back here. Let's go. Alex,
gang.
Colton, and Christine. La or nah? Colton, you've never done this,
I haven't
right?
played this, but I've always been on the winning couch. So I'm excited.
I usually do win.
Are we going sides?
So this would be the first loss of that couch. Yeah, we're doing sides.
All right, the pressure's on me.
No, we got
Well, you guys already lost because I know all the answers.
Oh, brother.
So it's totally unfair already. But what I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to give you a statement, a law. You're going to have to tell me whether it's a law in this beautiful nation or not. That's
Okay.
as simple as that. Law or not. So we're going to start with this one. This one's from Delaware. In Delaware, it is illegal to fly over any body of water unless one is carrying sufficient supplies of food and drink. Law or not, Colton?
Law.
But Delaware isn't like a big state, you know?
Do they have water?
Well, yeah, but like, is that the state where you're like, if we're gonna travel across the state, you need to have food and drink, you know? That's what I'm
I
thinking.
just think anyone up north that far is kind of weird, and this seems like a weird law. I'm gonna go law.
All right, I'll say law. They do
I'm
have crazy
saying
winter.
law just because it's weird, but I feel like they're all going to be
They're all
that
weird.
Well, let's just say that. Let's say this is a law. Hypothetically, how much Dr. Pepper would you bring with you on this flight?
I have 3 cases of Dr. Pepper right now sitting on my counter. Once I finish the one that is in the fridge currently. I always have Dr. Pepper on lock, and I'm going to the Dr. Pepper Museum over my Thanksgiving break. I'm very excited.
Oh, that's funny.
I can't believe this. We have to put together some sort of sponsorship. You and Dr. Pepper.
do.
The
I do need
spillover
that.
needs a sponsor. It needs to be Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
It is a law.
Woo!
But the funny thing is, we make fun of you way too much for the lack of water you drink. I think this is the most water you drink all week when you're on the show.
It is. I don't
probably the
drink
only
water.
one.
I don't like water. It's disgusting. It
You
literally
should fill
tastes
it
like
with Dr.
nothing. I always drink pop or juice. And I say pop because I'm from the Midwest.
You won't hear me saying pop. not me. All right, this next one is from Illinois. In Illinois, you may be arrested for vagrancy if you do not have at least $1 on your person. And vagrancy, for everybody that doesn't know, homelessness.
Oh.
It's a big word.
There's a lot of college kids that are probably then considered homeless, I would
a lot of
imagine.
time, a lot of periods of my life where I didn't have $1.
Yeah.
But were you in Illinois?
Nobody ever carries cash anyway. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say nah.
You gonna say nah?
I'm going law.
The only one that is correct is
Christine!
Christine.
Oh.
Why'd you go with law?
I don't know. I just feel like that's something I've heard so many laws that are kind of like bizarre. Like we were talking about something earlier, and you're like, really? That would be a law? So
I can imagine
I'm
like
going
going to the University of Illinois, just like you said, college kids.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't have any money.
But that's the
I got my Apple Pay. You know, it's
right.
just-
Everybody has a debit card these days.
Exactly.
So like, how do you prove that?
All right, this next one from Missouri. Oh, you're gonna like this one. In Missouri, single men between the ages of 21 and 50 must pay an annual tax of $5.
Law.
Law.
Why? Why do you two think it's a
They
law?
deserve it, for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it just seems like, I don't think this is something that someone can come up with. It just
It's the
seems
least
too-
they could do.
$5.
Yeah.
The men of Missouri are so disappointed.
I'm
Law or
going
no?
nah.
It is not a law.
Oh, man.
Christine's on a
I only
roll.
did that because I said law the last 2 times.
There's a little bit of this where it's like, all right, that could be true. I was like,
Well-
why would you say men of Missouri would have to pay $5?
Because in the South, guys get married so fast. That's the whole thing about the South. Like, people get married young and stuff. So maybe if they're, taking their sweet time, they're like, diddle daddle, you're charged.
This is your toll fee.
Diddle daddle.
Being this age, $5.
Yeah.
This next one's out of New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, you may not tap your feet, nod your head, or in any way keep time to the music in a tavern, restaurant, or cafe. Christine, I'm going to go to you first.
This is where?
This is in New Hampshire. That's always an important question, too.
Yeah.
Where in the world is this coming from?
I'm gonna go nah.
Going nah.
I'm saying nah.
I think I'm going to go nah as well.
I feel
It's
like
like bizarre.
if it was somewhere in the South, I might say law.
Believe it or not,
This is a law?
This is a law. In New Hampshire, can't tap your feet, nod your head, or in any way keep time to the music in a tavern, restaurant, or cafe. Also, if you're still calling something a tavern in 2021, isn't that kind of
Well, that's the thing. These are like so old, and I feel like we just don't have the time or the resources or the money for people to go and like, how do you undo a law? Whatever.
Well,
that
maybe the
term
$5
is.
from the Missouri men.
Yeah.
could start
Oh, set it
donating that. This next one is out of California. In California, animals are banned from mating publicly within 1,500 feet of a tavern, school, or place of worship. There's the tavern again.
What happens to them if they're caught? Like, those squirrels are going to jail.
Yeah, I was gonna say squirrels too. How do you control that?
But I do
How
think it's a law. For some reason, I'm going to go law. on
I
this
say
one.
nah. Nah.
Why do you think it's a law?
California, everything's weird. And
Once again,
No.
in California, animals are banned from mating publicly within 1,500 feet of a tavern, school, or place of worship.
I'm going nah. I feel like California would be into that stuff.
that's fair.
Really?
It is a law, believe it or not.
Oh,
I think-
wrong.
How do you enforce that on animals?
Yeah, what's the enforcement on that?
I am.
And what does
a lot
PETA
of
think
research
about
to
it?
do.
I'm
when the
really
show is
intrigued
over.
too. Maybe that's something we need to do right after the show.
As
Really
soon as the show's
research,
over.
like, so yeah. What are you gonna just get this?
You're going to
Yeah,
jail.
so that's
Lock 'em up.
1,499 feet, 1,500. All right, you're good.
Those birds cannot
Keep it
be
going.
doing that.
I worked with a guy once who, you know, and this is in radio days, so radio people are weird, but he
You
was
don't say.
obsessed with, he was obsessed with the the viral video of turtles mating because of the sounds they make, and he thought it was the funniest thing. He would play that sound by over and over and over.
On
again.
the air?
Yeah,
they made
and it's just
He would play it on air.
they
That
just
should be
squeak.
illegal.
They just go.
I didn't know they made
They
noise.
just go. "Ah," like that's what a turtle sounds like. When it's mating.
I want a quote graphic. Radio people are insane.
Yes, it's
Alex
true.
Clark.
They love mating turtles.
They love mating turtles.
I feel like that's something that went around in high school. It was
Oh.
just like, oh, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Check this
Yes,
out.
like older, like grand millennials thinking that kind of stuff is funny. Yeah, but anyway, that's what that law reminds me of.
Kids, you want to know
So
what
that is a
Vine
law.
was like? That was, you get 6 seconds of that.
Yeah, that was TikTok back in the day.
Back in my time. All right, this one is from Ohio. In Ohio, it is illegal for more than 4 women to live in a house.
Law.
That was quick. Law or no?
Nah.
It's kind of like polyamory a little.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen The View? Can't think of anything worse than throwing a bunch of women together like that.
We cannot go through a show
That would be
with
miserable.
Colton
Every
Duncan
time I've
without
been
bringing
on
up the
watch
view.
it,
Really?
every single time I've been on this show, The View is brought up. So it's a tradition now.
Well, I'll give you the answer. It's nah, but in Ohio, it's illegal for more than 5 women to live in a house.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't know why that's the cutoff.
Right.
Right. Like, do they have sororities?
But I am being
Oh,
told, producer Kylie back there is telling me because it would be considered a brothel.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Ohio getting crazy.
Ohio is
All
crazy.
right. This one is from the free state of Florida. In Florida, doors of all public buildings must open outwards.
I'm going to say law because it's common sense and that would be so annoying.
Law, and I think it could be because of the hurricanes. Think about it. If the door can open inwards, the water can push through.
That's really smart,
We have
Colton.
to look that up.
That is one of the most
think it's a
intelligent
law.
things I've ever heard on this
Yeah.
show.
The fact that you just came up with that out of nowhere.
Just
That's
makes sense.
incredible. What do you think, law or not,
I'm gonna
Christine?
go law. I'm originally from Florida, but obviously I definitely
we all say law.
don't know this.
It's a law. You got that one.
Maybe that's
All right.
why.
I think that's why.
That was incredible.
We'll have to find out.
That was really well done. So this next one is from Texas. In Texas,
Greatest country on earth.
it is illegal to take more than 3 sips of beer at a time while sitting.
Nah.
What do you think,
Nah.
Christine? You going
Not in
nah?
Texas.
Nah. No.
It's nah.
Okay.
It's nah.
Yeah.
That would hurt my
Texas is
homeland.
too cool for that.
We got about a minute left, so I want to get to this one. In Nebraska, if a child burps during church, his parents may be arrested.
I love this law. Yes, I'm saying it's a law.
Just because you want it to be a law?
I just think it's funny.
I'm gonna go nah.
You're gonna go nah.
Yeah,
so
no,
law, nah.
I'm going not to.
It's actually a law.
Wow.
So you like this?
Yeah, I like it.
I
My
feel
parents
like-
would have for sure been arrested.
If it was my husband, I maybe could get it. But like your
Yeah.
baby, your child, come on.
Could you imagine that? You know, the hubby in church just burps and it's like, Christine.
Yeah, arrest him. Take him out.
All right,
He's
take
gone.
him. He deserves
him.
that. I'm trying to get close with God here, right? That's it. But once again, that's law or not. Colton, hopefully you
fun.
enjoyed your
I
first
enjoyed
time
that. I enjoyed
doing
that game.
Coming up
Didn't do
next,
very
we're going to
well.
introduce you to our newest members of the Professor Watchlist. We'll see you guys in 90 seconds.
This is your brain. This is your brain on socialism. Any questions?
Conservatives! Politics is now on TPUSA Live. It'll be here every day in case you want to hear me out along with the rest of the Turning Point USA team. Don't miss out on all the conservative.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got Colton, Alex, and Christine. It's time to introduce you to the newest members of the Professor Watchlist. They made it because they're the worst. Welcome. ProfessorWatchlist.org. You can get some more information about these two and so many other crazy professors all across the country that are just indoctrinating your kids, sharing lies, and so much more craziness. This first one, Vivette Falarka, a teacher out of Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School in the Berkeley Unified School District. We're going to show you a photo of her. There she is. Looks like a nice gal.
Well, she's passionate. She's doing her activism, so I'm sure hers is going to be wild.
We're going to tell you all about her activism. So she's been teaching at this middle school for over 14 years, and when she isn't molding the minds in the classroom, she can be found inciting Antifa riots with her leftist group, BAM. BAM stands for By Any Means Necessary, but according to their website,
Tolerant Left.
Tolerant Left. BAM is a democratic, youth-led civil rights and immigrant rights organization that is fighting to put the oppressed in power. In 2016, Falarka was arrested twice on charges of inciting riots and violence in California. She was also arrested on a felony charge, and she asked the judge to dismiss that charge on the grounds she was victim of a political witch hunt.
What?
And then get a load of this. So the judge ruled that Falarka was required to pay Judicial Watch $22,000 for their legal fees for filing a frivolous lawsuit against them because she was saying, after pleading no contest, that they just have this political witch hunt. They're against Antifa. They're against progress.
Her group is called By Any Means Necessary, and she's talking about witch hunts. That's the most hypocritical thing I've heard in a very long time.
Right.
And then here too, so listen to this. I want to get your take on this, Christine. So there's over 150 pages of emails that were requested from Judicial Watch, who she had to end up paying here for this frivolous lawsuit. One email even mentioned how Falarka required her students participate in political activities, including having students make anti-President Trump stickers.
This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand where we went from reading, writing, and arithmetic to political activism in the classroom. These are my children, and it's my job to construct or help them construct their worldview, to teach them, raise them in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it. That's my job. Your job is reading, writing, and arithmetic. Keep your politics out of the classroom.
Yeah.
And when she got put on administrative leave for only 6 weeks, she's back and she's teaching there. So like as a parent, what do you think is going through the mind of parents that have kids in these schools right now?
Well, in Berkeley, they probably love her. She's probably a freaking hero.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what's sad.
No.
But there's also parents who don't know what's going on because a lot of parents don't pay attention. They need to be paying attention to this stuff because whether we like it or not, it is in a lot of the classrooms.
Exactly.
A silver lining, I think, one silver lining in all of the China virus, everything, has been that when we locked all of our kids at home and we put them in front of a computer, their parents started seeing the curriculum.
That's true.
Right? And so now you've got swaths of parents across the nation flocking to their school board meetings, and that's a whole nother story about what's happening at these school boards. But you've got parents showing up to these meetings and demanding answers, asking questions. They're being barred. They're having closed meetings. Here in Scottsdale, they had a school board president build a dossier on 47 parents. I mean, parents were complacent for too long, and now they looked at their laptops and were like, "What are you teaching? Hang on."
Also, that school board president in Scottsdale is like our age. He's in his
has
late
no
20s.
kids. He lives with his parents. He lives with his parents. He is our age, no kids. Why is he on the school board? Because what he's going to do is try to build up a political career, be a lifelong politician, and that can't happen anymore because he got caught building a dossier. He had pictures of kids on there. He had hired private investigators to go after parents. This is in the United States of America. We've weaponized not only the federal government with the Department of Justice calling parents domestic terrorists, but we've gone all the way down to the most local government, your school board, building dossiers and targeting families, the very families that they are promised and pledged to protect, and it makes me sick.
Well, the silver lining, too, if we're going off of that, was the amount of people that showed up to that school board meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Was incredible. We have videos on our social media. You go to @TurningPointUSA on Instagram, and we were there. We saw it, and parents have had enough.
No, it's working.
They had me sign like 9 positions because I'm a Scottsdale resident, so I signed a bunch of stuff.
And then you've been dealing with some pretty interesting stuff out in Colorado, too. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, we have our own issues in Colorado. We have a similar person on a school board in a Denver district who has 60 counts of sexual assault claims against him.
What?
And he will not resign. And same thing, he actually recently had a child, but prior didn't. He's like 20, 21 years old, looking for a political career. And that's what we're finding with a lot of the school board members. They're looking to have a political career, so they're infusing their politics into the school board. And they're drowning out parents' voices. We have teachers' unions uniting from all over the state. They come to specific school board districts and they drown out parents' voices. So, there's 100 parents there, they're all talking, they're all signed up to talk, and then 200 teachers will show up that don't even go to work in the district or don't have children in the district. And they're doing that in order to make it look like our voices aren't as strong as theirs are. When in reality, they don't, like I said, they don't work there. They don't have kids who go to those schools. They don't pay the taxes for those schools. They shouldn't get a say. The parents should get a say, and those who work in the school district should get a say.
Amen to that. Yep. We're going to introduce you to the other newest member of the Professor Watchlist. This one is Matthew Gabriel. He's the professor of, get this, medieval studies and chair of the Department of Religion and Culture at Virginia Tech. So he teaches undergraduate and graduate courses, including apocalyptic theories. There he is. Big Game of Thrones guy, too. Religion and violence and Game of Thrones, the medieval and the modern. I'll be completely honest, I probably would take the Game of Thrones class. Oh, yeah. But
as
this
long as they stopped right before the last season.
Oh, amen. The season
I
and
agree.
a half. I'll do that one. But this is why Professor Gabriel is a total wacko. He's also penned many publications for outlets such as CNN, shocker, The Washington Post, also a shocker, Time, and Teen Vogue. He often writes about history and how conservatives alter historical events to make themselves sound better. So he had this to say in his Washington Post article. Dr. Gabriel, once again, too, I love every time we bring up doctor. All right, doctor, what do you got to say? Accuses conservatives of making bad analogies in order to combat anyone asking them to reflect on their words or actions. As an example.
Go ahead.
Get your take on this one. You're going to like this, Alex Clark. He alleges that the political right compares mask mandates and COVID-19 vaccination cards to the yellow stars of the Nazis forced the Jews to wear during the Holocaust in order to pretend to be a new persecuted minority.
It's not like a joke, like we're a persecuted minority. It's absolutely happening. We're not allowed to shop in certain places, go certain places, eat certain places. Our own military members are being segregated against each other. How can you say that this is, a made up, thing? It's absolutely happening. You're demonizing innocent people who just want to be able to make their own medical choices about their bodies. And the whole thing of like conservatives want to rewrite history to make ourselves look better. We don't need to be the ones that are rewriting history to make ourselves look better. We are the people who freed the slaves. Remember that? No. We are the ones behind the civil rights movement. That was conservatives. So we are the ones that need to be rewriting places, or rewriting history. I believe that is the left, who is very worried that it's their own dirty deeds that are going to be found out.
Also, the right is not pushing the 1619 Project.
Yeah.
The right is not telling you in Virginia that school-age girls are getting raped. They're not telling you that's a total hoax and it's a right-wing conspiracy. The right is not telling you that CRT is not in schools. The left is telling you that. That's exactly what's happening. And then as a parent, too, what's been going through your mind during the past, specifically over the past few years, and hearing more stories about the school board watch list, professor watch list, and the left telling people this is not happening, even though it's clear?
I'll say my son was in public schools, and I kind of was just blind to all of this. And that's something that I'm thankful to COVID for, and that's the only thing you'll hear me say I'm thankful to COVID for, is like the fact that it did open up our eyes. And like you said earlier, people are listening in on what their students are learning, or their children are learning. And my son had a Spanish class, and the teacher said something along the lines of Spanish being a misogynistic, sexist language because they have genders. You know, there's the masculine and the feminine form of words.
But why are they even teaching it if they hate the language?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. So they can tell kids that it's sexist, and they can feel all of their virtue oozing out of their every orifice that they have. I don't know. But I ended up pulling my son, and they go to a charter school now that aligns with kind of what I believe. However, the fight is still there. My taxpayer dollars are still going to all of these things. So I'm still going to the school board meetings. I'm still speaking up about it. I'm still fighting, because we have to. We can't just allow our taxpayer dollars to go to all of these things, indoctrination that aren't reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's all you have to teach our kids. That's it. Worldview, leave it to the parents.
And that's what you have to do. You have to speak up. Like, too often there's people who are just like, well, I just don't like what's going on. It's like, well, what are you doing about it? I know I've had plenty of conversations with people that all they do is just complain. It's like, you can keep complaining until the end of time, but until you start standing up and taking action, that's why people I feel like need to follow you. In your example here, it's like, if you have a kid, the time is now. It's not just going to get figured out. We don't live in this world where hopefully things will get figured out. It's going to get worse. And you've had people like Charlie Kirk say that kind of stuff too. We have to fight this now, stand up, because you could lose your rights and your kids could be way worse off if you don't fight for it right now.
Yeah, if you tolerate it, you lose the right to complain about it.
So something that I think is very, very important to recognize is this culture war that Charlie always talks about. This didn't just start the past few years. This didn't start on the onslaught of President Trump. This has been a diabolical plan by the Marxist agenda. This globalist agenda has spent decades, I mean, with 30, 40, 50 years, just slowly introducing these ideas and these ideologies into our schools. And parents have been blithely unaware. It's a lot like the analogy of like when you've got a dog tied to a fence, and each day you remove one link. They don't realize what's happening until they're right here up against the fence, and they have nowhere to go. This has been a decades-long thing that conservatives have largely ignored. I mean, we were so worried about the corporate tax rate. We've now got little girls getting raped in schools.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And this other thing too, going after Dr. Gabriel, everybody's got receipts. Like with these people, you can't hide. They're actually showing this on places like Twitter. So he's calling conservatives bigots. Of course, not that big a deal. Crap bags. We'll say that on the show. That's how I'll say it. But he's comparing police precincts to gangs. Another professor out here that's just villainizing the police. And then we've covered so much about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. And it's just, you see this kind of language in this narrative. It just keeps being pushed, and it's on these college campuses. And this is what he had to say in an article for Teen Vogue. He was discussing why conservatives are so obsessed with medieval history. He claims that conservatives believe they are under siege and trying to string together irrelevant historical events and BS history to give historical legitimacy to their hate. And it goes back to exactly what you're saying. They're trying to rewrite history. They're the one that's trying to destroy the foundation. They're the one that is trying to push these vaccine mandates on the airline employees that we just had on the couch here. Telling you your constitutional rights, out the window. Bill of Rights, never heard of it. And you have professors like this that are saying, forget that.
Can I just say, didn't you say he teaches a Game of Thrones class?
Yeah.
What does this have to do with anything that his class is supposed to be about? Like,
well, this is a larger issue.
Well, if he wants to be like
about,
Cersei,
this is a larger issue too, and Charlie talks about this all the time. He's talked about this for years now. Is these just stupid classes that our college students are taking. We're not preparing students to leave and enter the real world and be functioning members of society. Instead, we started churning out activists. And when you start churning out angry, sad, ugly activists, you lose your country.
Yeah.
And I think we were covering this yesterday when we had our special with Real America's Voice. Ask questions. There's probably so many kids on these college campuses that are not even allowed to have an open discussion.
Well, Christine just spoke at a school, and what were you telling me? That there are certain words they are told not to use and say and things like that?
Oh yeah, I mean there's all kinds of things that are happening. I think Colorado State University has something where like you can't say certain words. Isabel might know even better than I do, but you can't say like man or woman. You're supposed to say person and stuff like that. And just all of these classes are indoctrination camps. I'm just convinced.
And then also too, you were saying like, does this guy just teach Game of Thrones classes? So he teaches courses on Christianity and religious love.
Oh, of course he does.
Spreads a lot of political hate. And we need to have more discussions. We need to talk about this stuff. And that's why I love every time we have an event or we have kids from across the country that sit on this couch, tell us their stories. And it's empowering, it's impactful because they're stepping up for the rest of their classmates. But coming up next, there's some more crazy stuff coming out of a university. One university is actually teaching and offering a white privilege class. We'll see you in 3 minutes.
In these United States of America, this great country of ours, we American Indians, we can be anything we want to be, except American Indians.
A lot of the soldiers were very aggressive, so the women did get raped.
What we call huelte. Huelte means a place of suffering, dying, starvation, nothing good. Just like the Nazi concentration camps.
I didn't realize how corrupt things were. I didn't realize what kind of environment we were living in.
We had no running water, we had no power.
They de-incentivize people from, opportunity.
That's why our suicide rate has climbed up astronomical rates.
I moved from the poorest county in America, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, to the richest area in the country, the Navajo Indian Reservation. There is no difference. The poorest and richest reservations in our nation suffer from identical problems. This is not anything new. This is an everyday occurrence in all tribal governments.
So my life and my tale and my truth has been to fight socialism. And I'm hoping that I can wake up as many Navajos as I can to tell them that you can do this. Yeah, even if I have to fight you to save you. And I think that's what I'm also projecting to my people. Even though they are so harsh on social media and they completely hammer at me, I tell them, I'll be here even if I have to fight you to save you.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We're at TPUSA headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. Christine Yeargin, Alex Clark, Colton Duncan. We got time for one last thing, some more crazy stuff coming out of universities. So get this. We got Wisconsin's Assembly Speaker. He's got some questions for the Chancellor at University of Wisconsin-Madison because they are requiring a white privilege class. And he sent this letter to the Chancellor, Rebecca Blank, and he's demanding an explanation for the graduate and professional students preventing and responding to sexual and relationship violence course. So this is what he had to say. Students are not only required to take this course and pass with a 100% score in order to enroll in classes, but they're also required to agree that whiteness means privilege.
I absolutely hate this argument of white privilege and this entire narrative. It's such bull, and I know that for a fact, especially volunteering with kids in the foster care system. Lots of white kids, the poorest kids I've ever met, living in absolute, they come from dire in dire situations where they're pulled out of. Their parents are addicted to drugs. You think about kids in Appalachia, largely white families that have gone through unbelievable just trial and devastation and things, especially with the opioid epidemic. But this whole idea that just because of your skin color you're going to have it better is just garbage.
And those same kids one day could find themselves at a university, they're just about to graduate, but they've got to admit that their entire life they've had privilege.
Yes, and that is the
That's
sickest
what's sick
part.
about it.
Yeah, this is like a gen ed. This is like one of those classes you have to hit before you keep going and then get your major and then graduate and go on.
Yeah, this hits close to home for me because I have a biracial son and two daughters who are white. And to them, I always tell them that it's their character that matters, much like Martin Luther King Jr., not the color of their skin. And then they go into schools, or God forbid they don't, and they're taught the exact opposite. The only thing that matters about you is your skin color, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
And then some of the questions that Speaker Voss had was, I'd like an explanation as to why this course is mandatory, like we were talking about, for graduate and professional students to enroll in classes at UW-Madison. Why is this a graduate prerequisite? Are undergraduate students required to take a similar course? Why does the university find this is appropriate course to require students to take? Who developed this course? Why was this impetus for this course, and why was it developed? If students voice opposition to this mandatory course, what is the university's response? All great questions, like we were talking about last time. Ask questions, get to the bottom of this stuff, because if you don't start asking questions, your school board is going to start taking over, and you're going to have leftist indoctrination of your kids, and they're going to have to just deal with the fact that you have professors, chancellors, people in power telling you you're privileged, even though I had no idea where you came from at all.
Talk about asking questions. Okay, I'm going to give some free advice. Where's the camera? I'm giving some free advice to our viewers. When you're at Thanksgiving and your blue-haired cousin tells you that white privilege exists, all you have to do is say, how? Why? Explain it to me. And they can't. They can't explain it. They're just repeating talking points. And so when they say something outlandish, like there's 30 genders or Mr. Potato Head's offensive because of that very reason, look them in the eye, look your blue-haired cousin in the eye and say, explain it to me. Why? How? Can you prove it? And they can't.
That's very good. Yep. Turn it back on them. Ask them the questions.
Make them explain it. If they're going to say something outlandish, make them explain it.
Yeah. Don't try to do it yourself.
You don't have to defend outlandish things. You have to make them explain why they're saying weird things like this. I'm telling you, it works.
And keep pushing for answers, too. I hope this isn't just some like, oh, I sent the letter. Hopefully that's enough. And I had some great questions. I know we were talking about that before the show. Like, this is not a time to say, oh, hey, look at this. I can post this nice little Instagram. It looks like I'm doing a lot. Like, are you really pushing back? Are you really getting answers? And I think that's what the right needs to do. If you're really standing up for kids, don't just send out a letter. Keep pushing. Send another letter. Knock on doors, get the answers you're actually looking for.
Yeah, push back until they're so sick of seeing your face that you finally get what you want. So the white privilege class is gone, or whatever. It's not fun to push back all the time. They'll push back on you, and it's an uncomfortable situation to be in sometimes. But if you don't push back, I promise you, the situation you put yourself in will be even more uncomfortable.
Exactly, because I feel like you got to do this now. That's like going back to the airline employees that we're talking to. It's like you got to keep pushing. Like, at first, you might not get what you're looking for. You might not get the funding. You might not get the resources. You might not have that video viewed as much as you want. You might not have as many people you want show up to your events, but just keep pushing, because change could get made. And there's too often we feel like the left that's taken over some of these corporations, these schools, and other places of power that, there's maybe nothing we can do. It's like, no, we're stronger together, and that's what we need to do. But we're going to wrap up the show here. You guys are incredible. Colton, Alex, Christine, thank you so much for being here. America Fest. Use promo code Jon, not Alex, because I want more people to use my code. You can use Alex if you want, but it's Jon. Use that promo code, 25% off. If you want to use Alex, you can use Alex, but use mine. But AmericaFest, TPUSA.com/AmericaFest. It's going to be a great time. But coming up next, we got the Emmy award-winning documentary, A Long Walk in Socialism. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
patriotic fans out there, but as I'm walking up here, all I see is giant American flags. All I see is like America love, like pure love of this country.
The racetrack, that's the best part, man. We honor our military heroes, our law enforcement. We've stuck true to those things, and freedom. The most important thing is the American flags everywhere. It's the best.
Who is the most patriotic athlete in America? You'd think this would be an easy question, because this is such a great country, and because athletes are oftentimes people who are paid millions of dollars in order to do what they love. Wouldn't they be thankful for the nation that gave them this opportunity to do that?
Whose broad stripes?
There he stood, the lone Pittsburgh Steeler, to sing the national anthem.
I want to take you back to opening day in baseball here in Washington. The entire Nats team there knelt during the national anthem, July 24th. The next day, the Nats were playing the Yankees. They knelt again.
Unfortunately, not these days. These days, corporate America and sponsorships reward wokeness over patriotism. It's a bad thing. It's a poison for our society. That's why you watch people who have disgraced their flag and their sport, their country and their community and their nation get rewarded with multi-million-dollar contracts, get toted around in corporate media as heroes or brave, when they are the exact opposite. Many times these people are simps for America's enemies and total cowards.
We all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen.
They like to rip down America, a nation that gave them much, and they only do it in order to get wealthier. There is no consequence. In fact, there are rewards for hating America.
Everybody is looking for their Colin Kaepernick payday, right? No one has ever been paid more for saying America is awful than Colin Kaepernick.
Even still, America has some wonderful patriotic athletes who are not scared to stand for their flag, stand up for their nation, and stand up for their values. One of those is Matt DiBenedetto, a NASCAR driver, the 21 car, and a man who openly embraces the "Let's Go Brandon" meme.
Go Brandon.
Matt DiBenedetto is an unashamed patriot and a conservative, and he wants to be outspoken for this nation, for his causes, and for his worldview. He says that it is time for us to stop being quiet. Matt says it's time for us to start acting like the majority that we are. We could not agree more. In fact, if the left can do it, frankly, why can't we?
On the block, on the racetrack, Brandon block with Matt DiBenedetto.
Nailed it.
The #1 driver in all of NASCAR. You can't convince me otherwise. You can't convince me otherwise. Super duper patriot. And just a fantastic racer. Matt's had an incredible season.
It's been awesome, man. Driving for the Wood Brothers. Hey, we got great fans right behind us, by the way. Speaking of.
Can we show the fans? Can we look at these? Look at these amazing. Look at these amazing. Look at this. Matt.
We have the best fans in the business, man. NASCAR races are awesome. Driving for the Wood Brothers, one of the most historic, legendary teams in NASCAR, has been a privilege.
This is the type of day that you dreamed of when you took over the iconic 21.
It was, man. This was all just too surreal. Tough to be that close, but hey, this is only the second race of the season.
Matt, tell me about NASCAR. You have so many patriotic fans out there, but as I'm walking up here, all I see is giant American flags. All I see is like America love, like pure love of this country. I saw 45,000, I counted, Let's Go Brandon shirts, okay?
Accurate.
I need to change the shirt. Let's go, Matt. What's it like being like at the epicenter of one of the most red, heart-throbbing, patriotic sports in the world?
It's the best, man. My brother is active duty, 19 years in the military. My family we've always been super, super patriotic. My wife is hardcore, love it. But at the racetrack, that's the best part, man. Pre-race stuff, we stick to our core values. You have your prayer before the race. We honor our military heroes, our law enforcement. We've stuck true to those things. And freedom. The most important thing is the American flags everywhere. The fans are the best.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go,
Brandon. Let's go,
Brandon. We definitely are seeing Let's Go Brandon flags everywhere, sweeping all the racetracks. It's the best.
It's the Let's Go Brandon movement. I tell people I'm a proud member of the LGB community. It's a community, Sam. It's a community.
Just such an unbelievable moment.
Let's go, Brandon!
I, along with, you see other athletes starting to speak up, and people in all across sports and in the world in general are starting to say, you know what, these things shouldn't be controversial. It's okay to stand your ground and speak up for what's right. I want you to find me the one time where the people advocating for freedom and individual liberty were the bad guys. When you do, let me know.
What goes through your head? You're rounding this lap. Like, what goes through your head at the end of a race? It's got to be exhausting. Like, what is it that keeps you going?
It's a lot of mental toughness, I'll tell you that. So through a race, people, it's hard to see, but it's extremely athletic what we do. So in a race, your heart rate will average somewhere around, depending on what type of racetrack, like a road course per se, 180 beats a minute, pretty much average sustained under green flag for 3 hours. Burn 2,000 to 2,500 calories in a race, at least. One race I sweated out. I lost 10 or 12 pounds pre-race and post-race, and that's while taking in all my fluids through the race. So I have a drink bottle in there, drinking throughout the race. So that's with drinking probably 5 20-ounce bottles of fluid at least throughout the race, and still sweated out at least 10 pounds.
Can I join you? I need to lose 10 pounds. Can I join you tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
That's easy. Oh, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, this little tiny bit, that'll be gone. One race, 3 hours, you're good.
We were talking before the camera started rolling about faith and about driving for something more. Driving for like how this is also
temporary,
not eternal. Yeah, and how it's the eternal that has to actually drive you. And if you view the world through good and evil, then everything starts to really crystallize, right? It starts to really get peaceful. Can you speak a little bit to that? It's getting a little deep, right? A little deep for my show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But can you speak to that? Because I think it really does. Talking about the soul and talking about like life eternal is what people want to hear about.
Yeah, we're not just a body, man. These things are temporary. We're a body, a soul, and a spirit. So pertaining to racing, we talked, and I had a heck of a faith journey. I got thinking my whole life's goal is, and has always been, win a cup race. And we have been so darn close so many times, finished second too many times. But you know, you think about just things like this, and everyone can relate to this, is what happens after you win that cup race? That's your whole life's good desire, or you get that big promotion or whatever it is that you still strive for, but what happens? Are you just good to, okay, life's complete, I'm ready to die now, or what happens? Life's so much bigger than those things. It's not just about that. You don't live for this world, you live for the next one. This is, at the end of the day, your life's purpose is to serve God. And this is God's country, by the way.
Amen. Life's purpose is to serve God, and we're in God's country. Hello. You ever seen a bigger American flag? Look at them, they're everywhere. It's so patriotic, it's so wonderful. Every sport should hit a pause button and say, what can we learn from NASCAR? How can we get more Matts as professional athletes? Don't believe what you hear about pro athletes, ladies and gentlemen. This is a true patriot. It was an amazing thing to see hundreds of thousands of Americans out in the desert at the Phoenix Raceway, living their lives maskless, happy, enjoying the beautiful God's green earth that was given to us here in this country. We love America a lot. Patriotic athletes like Matt need to stand up. Forget cancel culture. Screw the woke radical left. There is no honor in staying silent as those who wish to destroy America and our culture run and trample all the things that made this country great. We salute Matt, and we salute the Patriots inside of the NASCAR stand. It was a beautiful weekend and a reminder that there are still patriots in America, still patriotic athletes in this place. God bless them. God bless America. Let's go, Brandon.
is the United States of America. We American Indians, we can be anything we want to be. Except American Indians. If you want to see an example of failed socialism, go to an Indian reservation.
In my mind, from what I understand and what my family has told me through, stories, we were able to roam free. So we were very active, and we moved through the land, and we took care of the plants and the animals, but we also lived, in harmony, and I believe it was a beautiful time. We were a free people, absolutely free. Socialism, I believe, began with the Long Walk. The Long Walk was when Manifest Destiny crossed the United States. They had the railroads coming through. People needed to build homes, get to California, and the Indian nations were in the way. That's when they decided to send in the military, and they moved them across the reservation, and they were taken to a place called Bosque Redondo. People were killed along the way. A lot of the soldiers were very aggressive, so people did, the women did get raped.
I would call it Huerte Fort Sumner.
What does that mean?
Huerte means a place of suffering, dying, starvation, nothing good, just like Nazi concentration camps.
They had an idea of turning these nomadic tribes, hunter and gatherers, into farmers. They wanted us to farm, but nothing was growing. So they were freaked out too, and I'm like, they don't think anyone really knew what to do. And that's when we called for, treaties. And after we agreed on it, the treaty is very simply written, and they allowed us to come home.
Washington, Yirako, Yinel Ago, Enedo, Adoni, Washington, Yirako, Yinel Ago, Esto, Netseto,
So they were given American names. You were given a CIB, an actual number, and then you were given family cards. And so there began your family tree. So that number entitled you to a ration, and that's where you began to get your what was due to you. So that's where the parameters of control, and we couldn't leave the reservation. Back then, no one had diabetes and nobody was overweight because we lived off the land and we moved a lot. But we were heavily assimilated where we became more dependent on the system. And that's where socialized programs came into play because there was never enough food, there was no refrigeration. So then let's start the commodity food program where everything came in cans, which where high sodium was introduced, high sugar was introduced, and so that's where the health of the people began to take a dive.
That system is rife with waste, abuse, and malpractice. It's been said and written that if you control the healthcare, you can control the population, and all that power and control over our lives, since healthcare sometimes is a life or death decision, is in the hands of the very bureaucrats and politicians in DC whom we don't trust. Many of the native tribes are seeking to have independent healthcare because of just all of the abuse.
The values that they're really pushing currently are liberalism, and that's a stepping stone to socialism and eventually to communism. And that how I tracked it back, because I started to see how education was part of it. Like they control our education system. They tell us what we can and cannot learn. And as I understood that, that's when I pulled my children out of school. Because when they started bringing home applications, and I thought it was a job application, but when I looked closer at it, my son showed me it was a food stamp application.
I didn't realize how corrupt things were. I didn't realize what kind of environment we were living in. And I didn't realize what a socialistic community, how socialistic it was. It's really severe with some of my peers, my old peers, because they're in poverty and they don't know it.
socialism benannt lagi ya dinebe beso
The people that we voted in to lead us, I mean, there's some good, yes, and there's some that, I mean, you hear about what they say and what they're going to do, but you know what? When they get in, it's the same thing.
So now, because of the government is in such big control, you have to ask the question, how is the most heavily funded in America tribe have the poorest population? The money that comes from the federal government is provided by programs. They don't give you checks. We don't get, a per diem or whatever just for being part of the tribe. No, we get nothing as Navajos. Only way you can get anything from the government is if you are the lowest of the low. So basically, when you're in that environment, you basically have to sell off your freedom piece by piece in order to qualify for every little program. So the programs end up hurting us, and they numb us to what we actually need by providing us what they think we need.
I think those are the challenges that we're looking at in these socialist style governments where, everything sounds great, is because you give too much power and control to a small group of people, and they don't want to give that up. The tribal government's controlling various aspects of commerce, of utility management, of the lack of private property ownership on the reservation. So, again, all of these systems de-incentivize, ownership. They de-incentivize people from, opportunity, other than, the jobs that exist within government.
So when the enterprises were created, they were essentially made to give skills to the Navajo people. And these enterprises were created to basically help introduce us into the modern age. And now they've morphed into something completely different in this modern age. The enterprises have become a for-profit entity for our own government. And that's what socialism has really wrapped us around, and now it's starting to show communistic characteristics.
Nenandnishiki tontadnishi panandnish aashkist ego hoye bi ne darolis eatisne socialism.
I had to teach my husband too, who was a product of socialism, hardcore socialism. And so he was only educated into the really heavy, hardcore reservation life.
All right. Growing up, it's been really tough. I lost my mom when I was 5 years old due to my father drinking and I guess domestic violence and stuff. I guess it took his anger out on my mom, my late mom. But he was so angry driving recklessly that my mom just didn't want nothing to do with him. And he jumped out of the vehicle with my 1-year-old brother. My 1-year-old brother survived, but he broke his right leg and my mom died right there. So it's been tough, It's just been something that I don't think I've never forgot. I can't forget it, I can't, because I was there and it's been a nightmare ever since I was 5.
And he witnessed all this. And so that was heavy, heavy socialism that my heart just broke for him. And when someone is in that prison and they get angry, I had to fight through that anger. And my theme, I always told him, is I will fight you to save you.
just recently, a couple of years ago, I lost my brother, I lost my brother to the exact same thing, but he passed away. And I always said that socialism took my brother because he turned to drugs, he turned to alcoholism, and he couldn't find work. And it's just, he wanted to check out, and socialism took him. And it really hurt my feeling that I couldn't help him, and I couldn't save him.
There are so many people dragging their feet and pointing fingers. And people like me, I can't sell a thing. Something's gotta happen. And quit pointing fingers and say, get together, get our heads together and do it. That's what I think, instead of pointing fingers, say, hey, no, let's all combine, let's all get together and let's kick this thing in the butt and move on.
I choose not to go in a socialistic state. I do not want socialism. I don't want socialism for her or for my grandkids. No, I don't want that for them. I want them to be happy and live their life to their fullest, bring happiness for their kids. It hasn't been working for almost, what? Yeah, and it sucks. Socialism sucks. There's no other word, there's no other way you can describe it. It fucking sucks.
Me as a mother, what do? You have to first take control of yourself, then you have to work with your spouse, and then you take control of your children, then you take control of your pocketbook, and then you decide to get off the program. And how do you do that? Through self-sufficiency. So my life and my tale and my truth has been to fight socialism. And I'm hoping that I can wake up as many Navajos as I can to tell them that you can do this.
I think the best way that we can honor our ancestors and everything that they overcame for us to benefit today from all of these opportunities is to become successful and to take advantage of the opportunities that they never had.
Freedom is everything. It's in everything. And so when socialism creeps in, it's scary because they don't give you a choice and you're just given what you're given and you can't say anything.
Yeah, even if I have to fight you to save you. And I think that's what I'm also projecting to my people. Even though they are so harsh on social media and they completely hammer at me, I tell them, I'll be here even if I have to fight you to save you.
Hey everyone, Jon Root here. Coming up next on TPUSA Live, tune into the newest episode of Politics, where Alex Clark will give you all the juicy pop culture news, including no T-Swift tunes in President Trump's White House, the Chuck E. Cheese pizza conspiracy, a pop culture rewind, and so much more pop culture without the propaganda. Next on Politics.
I sent my boyfriend pictures of this dog and said, "This is my dream dog because I only like small, ugly dogs." And he said, and I quote, "Hell no, if you get a dog like that, we break up."
I didn't appreciate it then, and I don't appreciate it now.
Laura Ingraham had the most hilarious pop culture fail on her show the other night that I'm still laughing about. Rumor has it President Trump would fire anyone on his staff who played this artist in the White House. Would you be okay with going to Chuck E. Cheese on a date? Do you know the Chuck E. Cheese conspiracy theory? Do you know the Olive Garden conspiracy theory? You're about to learn, and it's Thursday, which means a brand new pop culture rewind. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Politics. One of the funniest moments ever happened on Laura Ingraham's show this week, and it was totally by accident. You know Raymond Arroyo? He always goes on Laura's show to break down what's happening in pop culture for her. Not to be a hater, but I think we all know that should be me. Just kidding. I do love Raymond. Anyways, he was trying to talk to her about the show You on Netflix, and look what happened.
You know, I was watching an episode of You where measles came up.
Wait. When did I mention measles?
I don't know. It was on You.
Wait, what was on me? What are you talking about? Right? Is Raymond even hearing what I'm saying? I never had the measles.
Was on You.
We never did a measles and vaccine episode. Is this a joke?
I know.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was on You. It was on You.
I've never had measles. What are you talking about? This is stupid.
It was an episode of a show, Laura.
What's it called?
You.
What is he talking about?
It's called You.
I've never done a show on measles. I just completely give up. We got to get out of
It's a show
I give up.
called You on Netflix.
There's a show called Laura Ingraham on Netflix. What are you talking
Never mind.
about?
I'm moving on to Adele. I can't explain this to you. The pop singer had an open.
He got mad, which made it even funnier. I don't know how he wasn't crying, laughing. I would have had tears streaming down my face. Also, that entire scenario is like the modern day Abbott and Costello Who's on First Bit.
After all, the man earns it. Who does? Absolutely. Well, all I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no. What is on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, don't change the players.
I'm not changing nobody.
Take it easy.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
A former aide for the Trump administration told the Washington Post that she was told not to play Taylor Swift in the White House unless she wanted to be fired.
You're fired.
This was after Taylor's public bashing of the president. The aide's name is Olivia Troy, and she worked as an advisor to Vice President Mike Pence. Anyway, she says she lost an argument one day at work and was angry, so she decided to take refuge in her office and let off some steam by turning Taylor Swift up full volume. She claims that another colleague then knocked on her door and was like, I don't think she likes the president very much. I'd watch your back playing that if I were you. Do I think the president would have been unhappy if he heard staffers blasting Taylor Swift in the White House? Yes, I do. Because loyalty is very important to him, and I think he would see that as unloyal. Do I also think that this Olivia chick is exaggerating to try to make the president look bad? Yes, also that. Because after she was eventually fired for something else, she started a whole anti-Trump movement and even endorsed President Joe Biden. So I take this story with a grain of salt.
I just wanted to listen to Taylor Swift alone.
Shia LaBeouf took a girl on a date to Chuck E. Cheese. I asked the Politics staff if they would like to go there on a date. They all said no. I said yes. First red flag. Whoa! Then one of them tried to tell me there is a Chuck E. Cheese conspiracy theory about the pizza. The rumor is that they don't make enough money anymore to make fresh pizza every day, so they take the uneaten pieces from people's tables and redistribute them. The evidence? Employees taking pictures of the pizzas in the kitchen and none of the pieces fitting together correctly. It's like a hodgepodge.
I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days.
It gets cheesier, juicier. Then I was told that Chuck E. Cheese isn't the only restaurant to have a conspiracy theory. Olive Garden has a similar one where the breadsticks are reused for other customers if they're not all eaten. And you know what? I 100% believe this because those breadsticks are way overhyped. I have never understood why people are so obsessed with Olive Garden breadsticks. They have absolutely no flavor. Domino's breadsticks are the superior breadsticks. At least they have garlic butter on them.
This is it. Just get the butter nice and open. Pick your stick. You get first pick. It's your first time here. That's your stick. Wow. What you're gonna want to do is take a bite. Okay. Okay? That's it. Suck it up. It wasn't the best thing you've ever had, but now, take your butter knife. Cut about 2 millimeters of butter. Just put it on. Wow. Cheers. Hey, cheers, buddy.
We're getting a tell-all interview with Oprah and Britney Spears, y'all. Britney announced it on Instagram. She answered some questions in a video about her conservatorship ending, and in the caption, she said, I might as well do a hint of my thoughts on the gram before I go set things square on Oprah.
So I'm just grateful, honestly, for each day and being able to have the keys to my car and being able to be independent and feel like a woman and owning an ATM card, seeing cash for the first time, being able to buy candles. It's the little things for us women, but it makes a huge difference. And I'm grateful for that, you know. It's nice. It's really nice.
Should she do an interview with Oprah or do an interview with Drew Barrymore or Kelly Clarkson? The girl's got more than a decade's worth of her own flavor conservative to spill, so she should just, make the rounds on all the interviews, I think. Also, I feel like these Oprah tell-alls are just getting better ever since the Green Bean episode. We just got Adele, and now we get Brit. Cannot wait to watch. Oh, baby, baby. Ready to take a step back in time? Here's what happened this week in pop culture history with the Pop Culture Rewind. In 1980 this week, model Brooke Shields was only 15 when she was caught in the middle of a media firestorm. What did she do? She filmed a Calvin Klein commercial where she said, "You want to know what comes in between me and my Calvins? Nothing." This caused an absolute uproar after critics deemed it sexually suggestive, which resulted in the commercial being banned entirely on CBS and even in some countries, which I don't really get. If she's saying nothing comes between her and her Calvins, isn't she saying she's not having sex?
You want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing.
Calvin Klein jeans.
All right, it's 1982 again. Drew Barrymore, at age 7 this week, hosted Saturday Night Live. She was starring in the hit film E.T. at the time. And I'm not a huge Drew Barrymore fan now, not that I have a problem with her. I'm just kind of indifferent, but I love reading about Drew Barrymore, the child star. And OG Cute Conservatives will remember that a few years ago, I read the memoir she wrote at 14 when she got out of rehab. It took me forever to find that online.
All right, are you ever gonna get married?
Steven.
Stephen who?
Spielberg.
Oh, man.
This week in 1985, Sesame Street's Elmo was introduced. He was usually puppeteered by Kevin Clash, but in 2012, that ended when the Kevin guy was accused by multiple men of having sexual relationships with them as young boys. When the allegations went public, Kevin Clash came out as gay.
They think that, they expect me to be a little short, bald-headed guy with glasses.
Yeah.
With that talks like this?
Yes.
Yeah, but no.
No.
This week in 1993, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, and Christina Aguilera joined the cast of the new Mickey Mouse Club. Safe to say, their lives were never the same.
Justin, Carrie,
JC,
Brittany,
Josh,
Rona, TJ, Ilana,
Ricky,
Christina.
Mark.
Then in 2003, Michael Jackson was booked on suspicion of multiple counts of child molestation and later acquitted on all charges. He was on a $3 million bond. Then, do you remember this? In 2006, this week, Nintendo released the Wii in the US. And that's what happened this week in pop culture history. Some of you have have guessed correctly who the spillover guest is going to be tonight at midnight Eastern and 9 p.m. Pacific. Not all of you may agree with this guest, but that's okay. I want to hear why you disagree in your 5-star reviews, if you do, or why you agree. Subscribe to the spillover on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. There is a heart on this episode. Tap that. Do you believe the Chuck E. Cheese or Olive Garden conspiracy theories? What about that chick's story about not being able to play Taylor Swift in the White House under President Trump? Tell me your thoughts. Then DM this episode to a friend who is obsessed with Olive Garden, see if they've heard this conspiracy theory, and finally, share this episode to your stories and hit that save button. Oh, by the way, is that dog that I like cute or what? We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Poplitics. Support Poplitics, the first ever conservative pop culture daily show, by subscribing to our channel, turning on notifications, and of course, hitting the thumbs up. Also, our main home is on Instagram. Seriously, just trust me, that's where the real magic happens. Follow us there at Poplitics.